It's Diego's turn. It looks like he's bringing another a really good game. Also, my God, looks
I'm
beautiful.
bringing also a platform. It's the day of the platform today,
Oh yes.
and with lots of brown that Window
Yay.
loves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today I bring you Deathflood, Dungeon of Doom for Commodore 64 by WindigoProduction.
Oh, your great
It's
friend.
already a bit old. It's more than a year old, late 2023 game. In fact, I had played it about at that time when it came out. Then I kind of forgot about it, but it's a game I wanted to talk about already ages ago, but it was just brought back to my attention recently. So, well, I'll start with a little bit of a background story, maybe. You are essentially an explorer. You are exploring for treasure. Your story is that you went into this dungeon originally built by a necromancer, and as you explore the dungeon, you triggered something, and the dungeon started to flood. And now you have to escape and grab as many treasure as you can while you do so. So essentially, this game is a platform with a sort of built-in timer, and the whole idea of the game is that the dungeon gets flooded from the bottom up, and so you have to deal with the flood getting higher and higher and possibly drowning you if you don't escape the level early enough. And a little bit of a warning here, you have one life essentially, 4 hit points, so to speak, so you can get hit 4 times. You lose hit points if you get into contact with a monster or with a trap, or if you fall from a height.
Okay.
And you actually get a very short time of invincibility after a hit point, so you can get away from a monster in time before losing another hit point. So things you can do in this game are, well, pretty much what you can do in most platforms, I suppose. So you can move, you can run. If you keep the direction pressed, you actually start running after a couple of steps.
Wow, I see there's a big like sort of book with all the moves done on the Commodore 64. That's really nice. Jump.
You mean instructions?
Yeah. Jump,
Yeah.
run, protopad, beat
Yeah.
jump, long jump. That's nice that they did that on the Commodore 64.
Yeah, there's some varieties in the move. So basically, yeah, you move around. You can jump in different ways depending on basically whether you jump from standing or from moving or from running. I think that's it. Three types of jumps really. And in addition to that, of course, you fight the monsters, so you have some basic weapon with you, no upgrades or anything like that. And you have ladders to climb, stairs to go up, and some special objects to collect. Well, not that many, but essentially you can collect treasure, coins or gems, which are worth 3 coins each. And this is not only for the points. There is some variety in the ending of the game, which I think depends on how much treasure you collected. I'm not sure, because I think I finished the game a year ago, and recently I just picked it up again, but didn't finish again. And I only saw one ending, but I think the game has multiple endings. But anyway, you need to know that if you get enough coins, you can spend them to buy continues. So you have one life.
Huh.
but you can give up some of the treasure to get an extra life if you have enough treasure. I'm not sure if it's always the same price, but I think it was maybe 6 coins for a continue. Then you
There's
can
a shop.
well, that's the only thing you can buy. Really, but you can call it a shop. Then you can find potions to restore 1 hit point, and you can find keys. Keys are meant to open doors that are just blocking passage. There's actually 2 kind of doors, but those that are closed, they're simply blocking one platform. So you can find multiple keys, and then the first door you go through consumes 1 key. Then there's also switches in certain levels that you can turn on and off, and they open or close some barriers on some ladders. And there's another type of door that it's, let's call it a doorway, that's like in the background, and you can enter the doorway and you get transported to another doorway on the same level. A little bit like a teleport effect. It's always between the same 2 doors. These are the things you can do.
There's a lot of stuff here.
Then the main characteristic, special feature, so to speak, of this game is the flood. So essentially, you see the water flowing up and filling the dungeon. You have to exit before you drown. You have an oxygen bar that tells you how much you can hold your breath while underwater, and that means when your head goes below the water level, then you start having to hold your breath. Actually, when that happens, you are slowed down. You're still walking. You can't swim, or you can't float in the water. You just keep walking on the platforms, and you keep jumping, and you keep doing everything, but you move more slowly
Because you're underwater, obviously, no?
because you're underwater.
Yeah.
And your oxygen bar starts going down. So if it goes empty, you don't immediately die. You lose 1 hit point, and you basically get again, I think, half of the oxygen. So you lose 1 hit point, but you can keep going if you have hit points left. So it depends. If you're out of hit points, you really die. Then when you get out of the water, you get the oxygen back. Not all immediately, but gradually you get the oxygen back. But you don't get the hit points back. For them, you need to find more potions.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, there's a lot of stuff going on. One thing I have noticed is that you can actually finish the level underwater. Which
yeah, sure.
I was not expecting that. Like, I thought in a Rainbow Islands fashion that you just had to go always up the top and the door was at the top, but it's not. You have to, sometimes you have to go underwater and just make it before you die to get into the door.
Well, as long as you make it, you can make it just before you die, but I don't think that there are necessary level where you have to be so fast that you can only win the level at the last instant.
Wow.
It's not that mean. But anyway, well, let me still talk about the flood a little bit, because there's some nice touches. For instance, in some levels, when you can hear a noise in the background and the screen shakes a bit, and the flood speed increases. So that's very cool, because you might start thinking, okay, I have the time to finish this level. Maybe you've already noticed where the exit is, you're looking ahead what you're going to do, but then you didn't know that at some point the flood was going to speed up. And this is really a nice moment when it happens, even if it's not a good thing, but it thrills things a little bit more. And the flood itself, it drowns you, but it also has some benefits. One of them is that, for example, if you fall into deep enough water, then you're not damaged.
Okay.
So you don't die. Then the flood. There are some traps in these games. Some of them are, for example, spikes. Some other traps are like acid pits, I
Acid, yeah,
guess.
from acid, yeah.
And so if you walk into them, you lose a hit point as well. But once they're flooded, they are also neutralized, these acid pits, and then you can walk into them. So you can actually avoid losing hit points if you wait until the acid pits are flooded.
Is that
And
a
then
mechanic you
finally,
also have to use eventually, or
I think
that
so,
you-
yes.
Oh,
In some level, probably you have to do it, but levels don't have one solution only. So you can find multiple ways to win a level. Well, except maybe the easiest level, the simplest ones, there's really only one way, but there are multiple ways to go through the levels. And then last thing, but not least, the flood also kills the monsters.
Oh, that's nice.
So if you wait long enough, well, that could be one tactic of yours. You can wait until the flood reaches some monsters, and then it clears the way for you to get to that part of the dungeon. So it's like a
yeah,
two.
but also dangerous, of course.
Yeah, sure, of course. You have to take into account that if you go into a flooded area, you'll be slowed down, and you need to get out of it quick enough so that you don't drown. So you have to choose what could be your tactic. And the levels, some of them are pretty large, and they might have multiple exits.
Ah,
So
also
they,
multiple exits. That's interesting.
I think so. Yes.
wow.
So it's not
Is it a branching?
linear game.
I was going to say it's not. It's a branching. So basically, based on where you go, where you exit, you find a different path.
That would be my guess, but now I am not completely sure. Because, like as I said, I replayed it recently, but for the purpose of the review, I cheated a little bit. I
No.
played it on an emulator this time. Previously, I played it on the real Commodore. Now I played it on the emulator, and so I took advantage also of saving states. So I didn't go back and check if taking another route would go another way, but I think it probably does that.
Yeah.
So you might go into different levels. Not completely sure, but at least the important thing is that there is definitely more than one way to win a level. And
Is there a
also,
way to save your progress somehow?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh,
No,
you have
not
to
to
finish
save
it
it
all in
for-
one run. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think that, if I remember right. And well, I say it's important that you can finish the level in different ways, many levels in different ways. Also because you can choose your character between two options. One's a warrior and the other one's an Amazon, and they work differently. Just two characters.
Sword of Sworden. Sword of Sworden.
The warrior hits better. I think it hits a bit farther away, so you don't have to be that close to enemies. And most importantly, I think it does double damage. So every monster is different. There's maybe 10 or so different types of monsters. So some need maybe just one hit to kill, and others they need maybe 6 or 7 hits. And I think basically the warrior gets a huge advantage because you need half the hits, more or less half the hits to kill the monsters. So with the warrior, you can just follow the tactic of engaging the monsters. If there's something to get past the monsters, some monster you can just walk through, get hit, but go through them if you want. And others instead you can't avoid. You have to kill them, otherwise it's not possible to jump over them, not possible to just go through, and they're like unavoidable. So the warrior really helps with that.
So
But
he
the
seems
Amazon
like he
character-
pokes enemies. He's got a sword, but instead of slashing them, he just goes like, I'm going to poke you.
stabs the enemy.
Yeah.
But if you play with the Amazon, then fighting is possible but more risky because you need to hit more times. But then you move faster, and I think also you jump higher and longer, so you can reach places maybe sometimes that the warriors can't. And anyway, then you have a definitely an advantage against the flood because you are faster. You're just faster as an Amazon.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, but then you might want to think carefully, like, can I really go on that platform when there are many of these bigger critters? Like, there's some of them that really need many hits. I think there's golems and death knights that really need quite a bunch of hits. So I think there's a good replayability also there. You might want to win the game with both.
Yeah.
And
It's also, I think, if you're not as strong as with the Amazon, maybe just don't fight enemies and try to.
you can try to avoid
Run
them. You
away.
can try to
Yeah.
jump over them, but there's those couple that are impossible to go past, especially if you're in tight places. So then you really have to fight them, even though that it's not necessary that you have to go there to win a level. Maybe there's just another route to the exit. So
Mhm. Yeah, or you let it flood and let that handle the enemies, maybe.
I'm not
Okay,
finding any
so-
Amazons. I'm looking around if I can find any pictures of Amazons, but I can't.
are you looking for some videos?
Yeah, anything that I would like to. I just wanted to see the difference in the gameplay with the Amazon, but
It's possible that maybe most people prefer to play with the warrior, at least those who recorded video. I actually prefer to play with the Amazon because I prefer the mobility over the fighting capability.
yeah, I'd like.
And
Yeah, I just want to see the difference actually to see how it works. Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
and that's it.
Bit of music.
There's quite a good. I think there's about 20 levels. Not a very long game overall. Every few levels, you get a screen that says, okay, you finish this section of the dungeon, so you move on to the next. And there's slightly different color schemes, different monsters, different traps in different sections of the dungeon. I think that I like the variety of the monsters. My favorite monster is the Beholder. So you know that monsters probably from Dungeons and Dragons, classic monster. So it's like this giant floating orb with one eye and small tentacles with smaller eyes on top. So this is one of the monster that is, let's say, a little bit smarter. Some monsters are really dumb; they just go their own way. There's like, I think the mummies and the slimes are dumb. They just go move back and forth. It doesn't matter what you do. And others are smart, at least in the sense that they see you and they go against you. And the Beholder, because he has these eyes, magical eyes, maybe he can also sense where you are, even if you are far away in the level. You can see that it moves a little bit with you, kind of prepares from when you're going into the screen. I like that monster also because it's a fun character on its own.
Yeah.
I really like the water effect. It's like it almost looks like sort of transparency layer, blue transparency layer over the whole level, which seems sort of impressive for the C64. I think it's maybe it's just like a palette swap or something. I don't know. But, yeah.
No, I think
pretty
that,
convincing.
yes, I think that's well made. And by the way, there's also a sound effect with the flood, in the sense that the music slows down when you go underwater. There's I think that the graphic is pretty nice, maybe not
Brown.
extraordinary. It's traditional Commodore 64 graphics, I'd say. brown. You definitely get the classic palette
Yeah.
over there. And the music is nice. There's different music for the loading screen. I like the one on the main screen. There's sort of more epic tune. In-game music, maybe it's a little bit too techno for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a little bit too science fiction. It's not exactly a dark fantasy like a dungeon, but it's okay. And and then there's the rats.
Yeah, what do the
So
rats? They just seem to run away from you. What do they do?
Yeah, exactly. That's, I think, I had the same feeling. I remember. So the rats are basically harmless. They just run away from you. If you get closer, they run away. But I think they matter somehow for the game. I don't know if it's for the ending. You might get a different ending. You can catch the rats, but they are a bit difficult because they run away. So you have to kind of block them, like
In a
go on
corner.
one side of them, make them run away into a place where they can't escape, and then they are very easy to kill because they don't fight you back. You don't lose hit points for touching a rat. But I'm not sure how they matter, but I think they do matter, because whenever you finish a section of a dungeon, it's gonna tell you how you have done with collecting treasures, how much time you spent, and how many rats you caught. So I think it's keeping track of how many rats you catch, and maybe if you catch them all, you get a special ending or something like that.
Catch the rats.
That's cool. That's sort of secret.
I'll have to try that, because
Yeah,
I
it
think
says on the itch page, it says multiple game goals and game endings. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be your goal to catch all the rats or something.
I think you have to figure it out. There's a small manual, but I don't think it mentions exactly what the rats do, if I remember right.
That's nice.
Like
yeah.
that.
Well, we find a lot of good stuff, I think, actually, lately. Sorry.
Yeah. And the final word is on the controls, because I think that I had noticed that some people were complaining about the controls, that are not really smooth. I did notice at the beginning that it was difficult to do some things like jumping off a ladder. Like you kind of have to just get used to stop and jump, not just move on a ladder and jump from the middle of it. And you need to get used to these three types of jumping: the standing jump from standing still, the walking jump, and the running jump. So some gaps are large, so you need to get a running start.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long. It's really, I don't know, half a second, maybe 1 second, I don't know. But you do need to walk a little bit, and as you walk and just move in that direction, after a little time, it starts running. So you have to get used to them. So
It's
I
a bit
wouldn't
like
say
Prince of Persia in that way, maybe.
Maybe that could be an inspiration for this. But yeah, it takes a little bit of time to get used to. So I wouldn't say the controls have any problems, but you need to get used to these couple of things to play at your best. And if I have only one small thing that I would have wanted differently, is that your hit points don't reset when you win a level. I wish that was the case.
Oh, so you get a penalty. You keep going until you die, basically.
Yeah, no, well, you can find potions.
Yeah, but there's no
but
no rest.
I thought that was a little bit too mean. I wish for those to reset every level. One thing that resets negatively is the keys. So as I said, you can collect the keys and to open doors that are blocking your passage. So you might find 3 keys in one level and there's 3 doors, for example, but you
don't take them with you.
You don't take them with you. But that I understand, because each level is meant as a puzzle to solve in multiple ways. So if you could just collect the keys and then figure out that you don't need necessarily to use all of them in every level, and then you would carry them over, then the next level maybe would be too easy.
Yeah, but it's going to also be a reward for your cleverness in previous levels. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's either way. It could go either way.
it's debatable. It's debatable, but I think it was a conscious choice by the designer, by the developer, in so that they could think, okay, in this level, you really need to catch the 3 keys, and that's the point of the puzzle. But maybe for the lives, I would have preferred that those would reset, would make things a little bit more, slightly more relaxing, so to speak.
You just need a trainer. Remember those? I really love those trainers. When I was a kid on Amiga, that there was always like a trainer.
Yeah, but not too much.
That you can choose that your life and stuff like that.
Mm.
Right, sounds good.
Yeah,
it's another good game.
We brought nice platformers.
I forgot to mention, by the way, this game is available on itch.io. I thought it had a price, but I don't see a price.
Me neither.
Maybe they removed it. I'm not sure.
So it's just download.
It seems to be just available for free. If you want, there are also physical editions. There's like a disc version, and there is actually even a 5-inch disc version if you happen to have that right.
I didn't know they made those discs anymore.
29 euros, and then there's a cartridge edition for 39 euros. If you want like to be more of a collector, and they are available on polyplay.xyz. But if you just want to try it, then there's
a free ROM.
Apparently free, on itch.io.
Very well. Very well. Oh, we've got nice games, nice Commodore 64 games, and a nice Game Boy Color game. All right, it's time to move on to the news.